Good morning. It's a blustery day here today, so we are trying to get some projects done that don't require being outside, and I'm super excited because we got in our dahlia tubers for our cut flower garden that we are starting. So for our flower CSA that we are launching soon for next year. So let me show you what I have going on. So these are our tubers. I've ordered them from a bunch of different people. So I've put them all here in the box together. And we are zone 9B, so we don't have to store our tubers over winter. We can leave them in the ground all year. Right now, I don't have the beds available to plant them because I'm going to put the tulips there in January. So I don't want to put in the bulbs or in the tubers now and then have to deal with the tulip situation. Well, I just don't have the space. So what I'm going to do is put them in pots and then in dirt, put them in my garden shed that's nice and dark, and kind of just tuck them in bed for the winter. Hopefully that will keep them from getting too dry or too wet or rotting out. Dahlia tubers are kind of sensitive. Keeping them in a fridge can be iffy because they can get mold. Keeping them in containers is okay. You can do that. I don't know enough about storing them though to risk that. So I'm going to just put them in their pots and then store them in the dark garden shed. So these are the tubers that we have. We have all kinds of different ones here. I don't know. I went a little bit crazy with the buying of the dahlias. So I'm not going to go through each different type, but I'm super excited. They're going to be, I'll put some pictures in of the kind of dahlias that they are. Some of these tubers they're pretty little. I don't know if they're going to bloom okay. I'm hoping that something will come from them, but we'll see. It's an experiment this year. Everything's an experiment this year. Okay, so here's what we're doing with the dahlias. So I've got my makeshift setup here. Someday I'll have a real potting table, but for now we're using the pallet with the concrete on it for our chicken farm project. What's wrong, buddy? Okay, so this is a dahlia clump. So this can be planted like this, and I'm going to plant it like this, but this could also be divided. But for now, I just want it to go to sleep. So I am going to put it in the pot and divide it like this. So I have some 2-gallon pots and I have some 5-gallon pots. And I'm afraid, yeah, see, it's not going to fit in the 2 gallons. So we're going to plant that one in a 5-gallon. But this one is small enough that they can go into the 2-gallon. And I actually have 2 of these ones that are the same. So I'm going to plant them in the same pot because these plants aren't going to be growing. They're going to just be going to sleep. So just to keep them for the winter, we're just going to put them in here and we're just tucking them in for the night. So we'll do that. Then we'll put some more soil on top of them to cover them up. So we're just going to bury them and tuck them in. I'm not filling them all the way up with soil because they're tiny. They're not going to be growing. They just need to be tucked in. So that's what we're doing. Here we go. We are going to do a bunch more. I've got, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 tubers in here. It's going to be okay. Okay, so I wrote the label for it, and it is going in the pot, hoping that my kids don't take out the labels because that's how things go around here. I almost want to tuck it in all the way so my kids can't see it because they will pull it out. You will pull it out. They're busy. So there we go, tucked in, one down. So one thing when you're planting the dahlias in the, when you're putting them away to bed for the winter, you don't want to water them in the pots. You want to make sure that they're dry and that they stay dry. The soil's a little bit wet, so that will give them enough moisture. And then whatever humidity will keep them in the air, which we don't have a ton. But right now we're supposed to get a bomb cyclone that's supposed to be a lot of rain for the next week. Hi, Ed.
Hi.
Hi. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so we're not going to water them. We're just putting them in the soil, putting them in the pots, and then putting them in my shed to go to bed. So like I said, I'm using 1, 2, and I guess just, let's see. So I've got, this says it's a 1.6 gallon pot. 1.6 gallon pot, and then I've got 1 gallons, and then I used a 2-gallon pot for that bigger clump. So you want to use These are just going in here to go to bed. If you are going to grow in them, you need to be using at least 5 gallons, 7 gallons. You can use grow bags, but the bigger the better if you're growing in them. So these, I'm just going to keep these in here, and then in the winter, or I'm sorry, in the spring, after our danger of frost has passed, I will put them in the ground probably in March, maybe in January, depending on how the winter is going and how wet it is. I've got raised beds that I'll be putting them in. Well, it won't be January. It won't be until after I pull tulips. So probably the end of March, I'll be planting them in the ground. So we're not going to let them grow in here. These are way too small of pots for growing. These are simply just to keep them safe over the winter. Okay, the dahlias are all tucked in. Ended up with, this is 13 different kinds. I've got multiple tubers in some of the pots that are the same, but I separated them all by variety. So we're gonna tuck them in, put them in the shed, and then call it good. So I hope that was helpful for you on how to store them. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going off of what I have read and scoured the internet for. So I hope that in a few months when we pull these out, that everything will look great with them. Wish us luck. Have a great day.